Yes, Oscar season has just finished and I'm already talking about the next one.
What are you gonna do about it?
So I went to see Logan on the weekend, and like a lot of people, I thought it was really good. So good, in fact, that come February next year, I wouldn't be surprised if it's nominated for a few Academy Awards. Not that it would win any, because it's a comic book movie.
You still gonna be saying that when I rip your guts out your fucking throat?
No, sir.
Reason 1. Great performances.
Say what you will about the X-Men series, but they always invest in great talent. The problem is they don't usually give that talent material that's worthy of their caliber of actor. Except for like Michael Fassbender in First Class, where he totally nails it. But here we get a movie where Patrick Stewart finally gets more to do than looking concerned while he puts his fingers to his temple. And Hugh Jackman gets a lot more to do than get angry the whole movie and turn into this ridiculous caricature of himself and his character.
I'm Logan, and I'm angry!
When we find them in this movie, both the characters are damaged, broken people, and it's their powers, the things that make them special, that are the things that are also slowly killing them. Xavier's mind is degenerating, and Logan's body is turning against him. And not only that, but the family that they built together, the X-Men, all died in a fatal accident. These are two men who lost everything in one big accidental mind explosion, and now they have nothing left. I mean, their plan at the start of the movie is just to save up enough money to buy a boat and go slowly wait for death out at sea where they can't hurt anyone. That's some fucked up shit right there. And then this light comes into their life. This little mutant kid called Laura. She gives them a purpose again, and getting her to safety becomes their whole reason for living. For a brief time, they have a family again, and they get to share one perfect night in a farmhouse before it all goes to shit. And I know a lot of people felt saddest at the end of the movie, but for me the most powerful scene was the one where Logan has to bury Xavier. He's lost the guy who's pretty much his adopted dad, and he can't even give him a proper eulogy. He just gets caught up in his grief. He says, he'd like it here, there's water, and then he can't finish, he breaks down. And that's the moment where Hugh Jackman gets his Best Actor nomination. And that's all thanks to our second point.
Reason 2. The movie has a meaningful villain.
Now you might be thinking, what do I mean meaningful? The villain's just a clone of Logan. But that's exactly the point. It's pretty on the nose, but it's Logan literally and figuratively fighting himself. On the one hand, you have a Logan who's allowed himself to build relationships with people and feel emotions. And on the other hand, you get this twisted rage machine that he would have become if Professor X had never found him. And of course that makes it perfect that he's the one who kills Xavier and who's the one who's trying to kill Laura. The Wolverine without a family is trying to destroy Wolverine's family. It's pure contrast. If Logan had never embraced others, he would have died as nothing more than a killing machine. A weapon. But because he chose empathy and love, he dies as a father, and that made all the difference. It also helps that the evil Wolverine is horror movie levels of efficient. I mean, he slaughters that farm family, he stabs Professor X right in the chest, and then he just cuts through those hillbillies. He's an unstoppable physical force, and that's really compelling to watch because it makes you wonder just how our heroes are going to be able to take him down. Will they even be able to stop him? And in the ultimate ironic twist, the bullet Logan wanted to use to kill himself kills himself.
Reason 3. It's topical.
Let's face it, the world is pretty fucked up right now. More specifically, there's a pretty big refugee crisis going on. And in the face of corporate interests starting to control America more and more, those refugees are turning to the new refuge of hope, Canada. And in Logan, we have a bunch of refugee mutants who are escaping a corporate America to the land of the free, Canada. That, my friends, is what we call allegory. On top of that, Canada is also significant because it's where the character of Logan is from. That's probably why he doesn't live there now. Everyone there is too nice and polite, so he'd be like,
my claws aren't needed here. Let's go slice up some racists.
So in the same way that Laura lets Xavier and Logan have a family again, by getting her to Canada with her family of new mutants, Logan is giving Laura something he only ever had for a very brief time. A loving family in a safe place. It's politically relevant and it develops character. That's double the Oscar points for you.
4. interesting sub-themes.
So if the main theme of the movie is the importance of family, it also had a lot of interesting sub-themes. The whole movie has this very interesting take on drugs. While they often provide a useful service for the characters, they also have very negative side effects. Professor X's pills stop him from having the seizures that could hurt other people, but they also block his powers and make him go a bit loopy. The green steroids can heal people, but they can also turn them into crazed rage machines. And the adamantium in Logan's bones is what lets him literally cut dudes in half, but it's also slowly poisoning him from the inside out. It's like only the natural mutations are actual gifts, and everything that's man-made has terrible side effects. Pretty much it's saying that if humans try to play God, there will be inevitable consequences. There's also a sub-theme about protecting the next generation that's especially relevant now. Climate change is looming on the horizon, and like Logan and Xavier, those who have power will have to make sacrifices to ensure the survival of the next generation. But they probably won't.
5. It's a simple story that stands on its own.
When you think about it, the plot of Logan is actually very simple. Xavier and Logan find a new mutant, and they need to get her from point A to point B. And on the way, bad guys are chasing them. But by keeping the plot simple, it means we get to spend a lot of time with the characters. We get to see how they interact with each other, how their pasts have affected them, and what they'd be willing to sacrifice to make it to the end. This simplicity also means that the movie can take a lot of cues from classic Western films, where a anti-hero roguish character can make the bad decisions so he can save the innocent townspeople or family members. In particular, it makes reference to the old Western movie Shane, and compares that movie's hero with ours, Logan. In a pivotal scene we actually see in Logan, Shane is talking to this little boy and telling him how killing people is like a brand that will never leave you. It's not something glorified. He did the bad shit in that movie so that the little kid would never have to. And that's exactly what Logan wants for Laura. Sure, she's killed, but always in self-defense, and he believes that once she gets to Canada, she can put that all behind her. That's why as he's dying, he says to her, "Don't be what they made you." It's simple, it's powerful, and it's one of my favorite kinds of stories. One where we see an older character stick their hands in the muck so that the younger generation can be better, and they won't have to. One of my favorites of that kind of story is actually another Hugh Jackman movie. It's Les Miserables, where a father gives up his entire life so that his adopted daughter can have a bright future. It's the ultimate sacrifice. And it works so well in Logan because there's nothing to distract from it. There's no convoluted evil plot, there's no X-Men cameos popping up everywhere, and there's no sequel baiting.
And that's why Logan should be nominated for an Oscar. You fucking Academy pricks.
You're still here? The 5 reasons are over. You can go. Okay, well here's 2 quick reasons why it might not get nominated. 1, it's predictable. It's billed as Wolverine's last adventure, and all the trailers had really sad music. So I went into this movie expecting Professor Xavier and Logan to die, and that's exactly what I got. 2, I think the movie is a little too subtle about Professor Xavier having killed his previous family. Hardcore fans like me will know that Westchester means the X-Men mansion, but for the casual viewer or an Academy member, I'm not sure that that's totally clear. And that means they might not understand how totally lost and bereft of hope the 2 characters are at the start of the movie, especially if they don't know how close-knit the original X-Men were. All it would have taken is a 30-second scene, maybe of Logan looking at a picture of the X-Men with a throwaway line of dialogue about how they lost everything in that incident.
Are you saying we shouldn't get nominated? Huh?
No, sir, Mr. Wolverine. You should win both Best Picture and Best Actor.
That's what I thought.